All right, hey guys, this is Miss Tucker Gravatt. I'm going to show you how to do the watercolor practice on the Practicing Light and Shade Watercolor worksheet that you have, the 2-page worksheet, and go over a few different tips and techniques on how to use watercolor to get some different values shown and textures. So first of all, I'm going to hydrate or wake up my color that I'm going to use to start with glazing. I want to start with glazing because I have to let the layers dry in between. So I'm just going to pick up some of the color and put it over here on the side so I can do my mixing on the side. And I'm going to put a bunch more clean water to really dilute this out, so I get as light as possible. And I could even pick up just like a little bit of this and put it over on the other well. Before I start to paint this, you want to wipe off your brush and dry it off so that there is no water on the ferrule part, the metal part, because if you have little water drops, they will drip down and make big puddles in areas that you don't want it to be. So I'm going to take this little bit of a really light pink, and I am going to follow the contour of this circle. My goal is to try to make a sphere, and I'm going to leave just a little bit of the white paper for a highlighted area over here on the right, so the light source will be coming from that area. So I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to move on to the wet on wet. So here, I'm still only going to use one color. I'm going to keep using the red since I have it. And I am going to blend this together with a wet on wet technique. So first of all, I'm going to get the surface of the paper wet. So I'm just gonna paint some clean water all over the surface. I do want to follow the contour of the sphere so it stays in that shape. And then I am going to start picking up some of this watercolor and kind of like dab it in. Still going to follow the contour. I want to leave another highlighted area, and I'm going to keep building up. Ooh, see how it's spreading? It's really pretty when it does that. I'm going to keep building up some of the color and kind of pulling it into that lighter area so it bleeds. You want the bleed to happen. And I'm going to put a little bit more over on the left side because that's where I want the shadow to be. So I want that to be a little bit darker. You do not want your watercolor paint to ever feel sticky. It shouldn't be stuck onto the surface. If it is, you have too much paint and not enough water. So I am just trying to pick up some more color. If you accidentally get too much water onto that, you can lift some of it off with a little bit of paper towel. You want to use a smooth paper towel or you will get and try to make it into the shape that you want to blot it. So I want it to be kind of rounded. Lift this spot up and see it made kind of a hard edge. So I don't really want it to be that really hard edge. So I'm just gonna kind of dab at it a little bit so it softens it up. My goal is to see that transition of value between the light and dark. So I'm just gonna get some clean water and kind of blend and smooth that back out. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna feel my glazing paper feels pretty good. Typically I would wait longer to do the layers in between, but I'm gonna go ahead and do my second layer. I'm not gonna paint over everything. I only want to paint in the area where I want my medium value to be. So I'm just gonna gently go around the contour, but not cover everything there. So I still have white paper and then that first really light value. And then I'm gonna let that dry. While I'm letting that dry, I'm gonna do the complement blend. So complement colors are directly across from each other on the color wheel. So red's complement is green. So I'm going to do that one first. So I'm gonna start with like this medium red, still following the contours as they wrap around. And while it's wet, I'm going to mix in some of its complement into, which is green, into the shadow area. So this is very, very, very light right now. I need to kind of build up the value. So I'm going to go back to the red and add some more red on top of this green that I just put in. So this is how you want to do your shadows. You don't want to use black to make your shadows. It will really muddy down what you're painting. I'll pick up some more of this red. This is just a little bit of back and forth. There we go. And that highlight's a little bit big, so I'm gonna wash my brush really good, get some clean water, and try to make this a little bit smaller. Here we go. That's better. But leave some of that white paper there for a nice bright highlight. All right, I'm gonna go back to my glazing. Make sure my brush is really clean. And I'm gonna do one last glazing layer. So I have at least 3 values. So I'm gonna cut in, whoops. Follow the contour, and I'm kind of twisting my brush. And this is glazing. So glazing, you're seeing kind of like cut out layers. It's not as blended as the wet versions of this. If you make a little mistake, see I got a little bit off of my shape right here, you can try to pick it up. You can get some clean water and just kind of brush at it a little bit, and then use your paper, clean paper towel to pick it up. And I'm gonna pull some of this just a little bit to clean that up as well. And then that is done.